So today we are going to talk how we can validate the UI design in early stages of development cycle. My name is Tania Marin. I'm an UX designer at Cognizant Softvision. I'm passionate about traveling. I love hiking and just started playing League of Legends. And one of the codes that I'm guiding my professional life is never ever act on assumptions. Search out the facts and act on those. I'm going to ask you if you have any questions or personal experience related to this topic. Feel free to leave it in the Q&A chat section, and I will address those at the end of the presentation. So let's think for the next 20 minutes. We are Sherlock Holmes, and we want to find out how we can prevent wasting money and precious resources and time. Why we need to validate the UI design? Our problem or our case is that 85% of the launches fail because company did not take the time to validate their idea. So before doing anything, make sure your ideal customer or client want what you're selling. Get clarity on the wants and needs of your customer. The world is awash with waste materials and wasted products. So do you have an ethical responsibility to insist your organization first validate the problem, hypothesis, before developing a product that may ultimately fail and cause yet more waste? So let's talk about Google Wave. When Google announced Wave, the service was supposed to be a collaboration tool that would have features like email, instant messaging, blogging, wikis, multimedia management, and document sharing. It was proposed as a tool that would improve communication and work between coworkers. With this, workers could elevate their productivity as it would become easier for groups to discuss a current project and share necessary documents. Despite all the hype, Google Wave failed to take off and the service was suspended after 6 months of its announcement. This was after 6,000 developers had worked on it and almost 100,000 users had tried. What could have caused an app backed by almighty Google to fail? There were many reasons that led to Google Wave failing. Wave combined many services that were already in existence, but these services in Wave were inferior to individual platforms that offered each of these services. So when separate services like emails or instant messages were used independently, they offered a better experience than Google Wave. This rendered the app useless as it couldn't improve on the service that were core parts of the platform or the combination. Likewise, it had many windows, as you can see in this screenshot, on the same page, which can be too much information on a single page to take in. For a user who was looking for a simple collaboration tool and hoped to find one in Google Wave, they were disappointed. Figuring out how the system worked was a lot of stress for an average user. The software was built with many features that would be useful to workers in the workplace, but the complexity meant that most workers wouldn't use it. Furthermore, Google gave a vague explanation of what Wave was supposed to achieve for the average user. It would have done a better job of explaining how it was going to help an average worker improve communication and productivity at work. Another fail is home. With rising mobile phones and social media engagement, Facebook decided to launch a family of apps that combine these trends. Facebook Home converts the home screen of a smartphone into the Facebook news feed, while most of the Facebook's over 1 billion users log in their account on a smartphone. The social media giant's new product never caught on. Early users cited clunky operation, the inability to toggle between Facebook Home and the original phone interface, and the lack of options for customizations, among other snags. So what is design validation? Is the process of evaluating the software during or at the end of the product development to ensure the manufacturer system satisfy the specification in end user application or product and environment. Validation is concerned with demonstrating the consistency and the completeness of the design with the respect of the user needs. Validation first, this is the stage where you actually build a version of the product and validate against the user requirements. So how we should validate our UI design? Before doing anything, make sure your ideal customer or client want what you are selling. Get clarity on the wants and needs of your customers. Some ways that you can validate an idea are the following. Ask questions to your audience, create polls on social media, create questionnaires, and also you can send emails to your database. So let's say we went over how to identify the business initiatives by emphasizing with the users who will be utilizing your business solution. In summary, you should observe and interview them to get an understanding of their interaction and journey, which helps define problems the customer encounters. Figure out which problem would be most beneficial for your company to solve. And that is how to identify a potential product. But how? And the answer is usability testing. Each product has its own specific target audience with their own unique needs. And to address those needs, you need to run usability testing. But what ideas should be tested? New concepts that will be turned out into large scale projects are ideal to test. The goal is to find out that if you invest the large amount it takes to build this product, it will satisfy your customer needs. Testing the design enables you to generate insights from your unique end user, so you can spend time iterating on the things that really matter. Usability testing is a great way of getting user feedback firsthand and allows the researcher to take quick actions to improve. The primary question that usability testing answers is whether the user encounters any issues when interacting with an unfinished or a finished product or service. What is the utility the user sees in the product or service? Is the journey smooth or full of disruptions? Does this product or service fill any need gap for the user, etc.? The testing and validation phase helps the product team ensure the design concept works as indeed. Product testing is an art itself, so do it wrong and you'll learn nothing. Do it right and might get incredible, unexpected insights that might even change your product strategy. Usually the validation phase starts when the high fidelity design is fleshed out, similar to the product research phase. This phase is also varies between projects. So where the prototyping fits into usability testing? The process of designing, prototyping, and testing a product before handing over to developers will not only save your team time and money, but also enables you as a designer or the whole team to better understand your user and where the best focus your time going forward. Prototypes range from rough sketches on a piece of paper, like low fidelity prototypes, to interactive simulations like those ones on the slides, and function like a real product, high fidelity prototypes. Depending on the stage of the design process and the goal of the prototype, You will need to select the appropriate prototype technique. It's crucial, in my opinion, to choose the method of prototyping that minimize the work and maximize the learning. A prototype is an interactive mock-up of your product, website, app, you name it. With lists that might all sound quite time consuming, it's far from it. With the prototyping tools in these days, and you can find most of them free, you can create these mockups without any code in a matter of minutes. So what's the best part? You can put these realistic prototypes in front of your users to test the design. Once an interactive version of a product idea is in the hands of the real user, a product team will be able to see how the target audience uses the product. The primary goal of this user experience testing method is to identify usability problems, collect qualitative data, and determine the participants' overall satisfaction with the product. Gathering and analyzing verbal and non-verbal feedback from the user helps a product team create a better user experience. Then any interactions that come from your insights can be made before the product is even shipped. So how to test the UI design with prototypes? Usability testing can be carried out in a number of ways, with moderated and unmoderated ones. And also we have subcategories like guerrilla testing, automated usability testing, and so on. So the good news is prototype can be utilized in any of these. And here I will give you 6 steps on how to do it. And we are going to discuss each of these steps separately in the next few slides. So first one is to define your goal. Second, define your end user. Third, design and create your prototype. Fourth, choose usability testing method, source participants, and the final one and the most important one, analyze your data. Define your goal. For whichever method you choose, you will first need to define your goal. What are you testing? What does success looks like? This will be super useful when you get to the evaluation stage. You'll know what to look for through the test and how to benchmark your results. Define your end user. Then if you haven't already defined your end user, you'll need this not only to design the best possible solution, but also to source candidates that you can test with later. Otherwise, you risk the validity of your results. The easy one, design and create your prototype. Once you design the solution for this user and map out how they reach the goal, transform it into an interactive prototype using your prototyping tool of choice. You can use it to present to your participants during the test. If it's high fidelity, I assure you they won't know the difference between the prototype and your live product. Except this way you are testing before all the expensive stuff comes in. Choose your usability testing method. We have 2 of them, moderated usability testing and unmoderated ones. Moderated usability testing requires both facilitator and participant to be present, where you will follow up a script and interact with. To set it up, you'll need to find time for both parties to be available, a place to carry out the test, and a method for tracking responses and results. It allows you to develop a strong rapport with the candidate and open up a channel for more candid feedback. However, is usually more expensive and time-consuming than unmoderated testing. And unmoderated usability testing relies only on the participant to be present during the test, which can be sent to them and analyzed using usability testing software. This means the participant can take the test in a more natural environment. However, there is no opportunity for additional support to the session for things like follow-up questions. Let me take a sip of water. Okay, the 5th one, search participants. How many you need depends entirely on you, the method you choose. and also the project. For example, if you choose to do moderated testing, you might not have the time to run as many tests as with unmoderated ones, where less resources is required. So sourcing participants can be done through posting or testing on testing platforms, or gathering people that fits your target user. So by the end of it, you will have a set of invaluable data for your initial idea from potential end user. Making changes when a product has been shipped is more expensive and more hassle. And the final one, and the most important one, is analyze your data. When it comes to manual testing without any software, you will find analyzing your data is more process driven like this. However, there are now plenty of options when it comes to usability testing software, which will track audio, visual, and analytic data, including how they are tracked to your goal. So by the end of it, you'll have a set of invaluable data for your initial idea from potential end users. So making changes when a product has been shipped is more expensive and more hassle. And here we have some advantages of design validation. First, and the most important one, getting feedback helps designers and also the whole team to validate their effort on a project. Data collected can guide the next steps to be taken to improve the product or the service. Also, data collected can help evaluating the product features or the service being offered against similar and competitive offerings in the market. Also, you can identify missed issues that might be missed during other stages of the project can be captured through user testing. And through online tools, a large sample can be considered for user testing. The data gathered can also be analyzed quickly and with relative ease. And the disadvantages of design validation, of course. First one, user time commitment. If the user do not give sufficient time for feedback or to the test, then the system or product can be off from what the user requirement is. And the second one, the scope of the project. If the scope of the project is large, then user testing may result in large amount of diverse data, and later may be difficult to collate and analyze. And one of the codes that I really like, and I think it's fit to this topic, is that design is not about decoration, it's about communication and problem solving. Validating an application user interface, it's not about our opinion. Our aim as a team is to improve a user experience to reduce potential user confusion and meet user needs. So save yourself and your team and learn how to test design in early stages. So you have actionable feedback. You need to know where your effort should go next. So in conclusion, the most important thing to remember when designing products is that design is for people. To design great products, you must deliver the right features with the right user experience for the right people. Thus define your target audience, then research their problems. And finally, you should focus on building a product that solves these problems. And here I'm going to address the questions that were left in the chat. And also I'm inviting you, if you have some personal experience regarding to this topic, feel free to left it in the chat. So we already have one question. Which one of the methods, moderated or unmoderated ones, yields the most useful data or results? In my opinion, moderated ones, because as I said in the presentation, you can ask questions to the participants, and also they can ask you when they don't understand something specific, but also you need to keep in mind that you don't need to bias the results, and the details that you give, they don't need to interact with the flow of the test. So in my opinion, moderated ones are the best, but as I said, unmoderated ones, they are not so time consuming, and also they don't use so many resources. But for the quality of the data, for sure, moderated ones. So from your experience, were there cases where after a session of testing validation, the design changed completely, or were there only improvements? I didn't have an usability testing where the design changed completely after that, but I've not noticed some issues, and after the usability testing, we fixed them, and definitely it was an improvement. You're welcome, Carmen. You said in the beginning that you never rely on assumptions, but surely there must be some situation where an expectation from this rule must have been useful. Could you think and share with us a situation where making some assumptions help you develop a better design? From Ioana. For sure, at the beginning, you as a designer, you make some assumptions, but first of all, I think the best option that you can do is to make your research. And after you are making your research, you are validating your assumptions, but never go in mind with your assumptions like my ideas are better and that's all. No, you need to make your research. Ask if you have access to your users, go for it and ask them what they think they are the things perfect to their needs. Any question? What platform are you using to validate your UI design? This year I was using Maze platform. For one project, it's free, and also you can you make a prototype in Figma and you upload it there. And I was using Maze for this, and also I was using Zoom to held the usability testing, and I was recording them. So after the usability testing, I can watch them again and extract all the information. So in this way, I can't lose everything. But I definitely recommend Maze for small and even large products because you have a lot of options with this tool. And also it's free for one project. Also another question, are you also sending multiple prototypes with different content to a single tester during a week to validate a notification feature and to see if the user tester will use the product? I didn't have this situation until now, but in my opinion, I think it's kind of A/B testing. So when you have two different versions of the product and you compare each other, but I think this depends on the project and also on the features that you might need to test. But it's a good option to validate one of these designs. Can you add sounds on Maze? I don't know, sincerely, I don't know. But as far as I know, I don't think so. Maybe in the next updates, because I was watching the tool and they made a lot of updates. Maybe in the future they will add sound as well. Also, you can find me on LinkedIn, so we can talk there, and also at email. Thank you, everyone. I think we can close now. It was a pleasure to talk about this topic, and I hope we will see each other next year, maybe face to face.